öresundståg mot Halmstad, Malmö, Hyllie avgår spår 14.
It's 8:30 p.m. I bought a wrap. This is the only real food I've had all day. The Öresundståg's about to leave for Malmö. I'm in Gothenburg right now. It's going to arrive at 11:50 p.m. and then I have my Airbnb. I'll get there around midnight, and then tomorrow morning at 7:30 a.m. I have an appointment to get my Swedish ID card, so I won't have a lot of sleep, but I'll be in Copenhagen tomorrow afternoon, and then maybe then I can sleep a little bit. Clothes, my shoes, and then they just use a hook to attach the bike, and then I can just sit here, so it's much easier than other trains. My one main worry about this train was being allowed on with my bike. For this train, there actually are no bike tickets, at least during a transitional period right now in 2022. So that's great, but it also means that if the train has maxed out on bikes, which is 9, or it's just way too crowded, you have to wait for the next train. Since I had to cancel my first ticket here and then get a later one, I was stressing out because I didn't know how full this train actually gets. And so I was worried I wouldn't be able to board at all today and would have to stay the night, since this is the second to last train of the day. And the first train the next morning leaves at 9:35. But now I know that I really was worrying for nothing. This train is pretty empty, with mostly a few groups of teenagers coming in and out during the night. So even though it was difficult for me to sleep because I was just sitting in a foldable seat instead of a normal train seat, it was a very easy ride. For bicycles, this is a great train. Every train should be this accommodating and have this type of carriage for bikes and strollers. And I had ridden another regional southern Swedish train before that also had this type of carriage, so it's probably much easier to take a train with your bike around southern Sweden than it is around Stockholm or central Sweden. And I'll be taking the same train to Denmark from Malmö, so my review may be different then, depending on how crowded it actually gets at a normal time. I'm in Malmö. It's around 11:55, and now I just have to bike about 5 minutes to the Airbnb, and then I can sleep. So, yeah. I was worried that the city would be pitch black when I arrived, but thankfully there were still a lot of lights on, and more people walking around than expected for a Wednesday evening. As I was riding to the Airbnb, I was mostly just surprised at the bike infrastructure here. Again, coming from a place that doesn't really prioritize bike safety. The lanes are better even than in Stockholm, but this is a smaller city, so that may be why. There's a walk red and a red. Oh, they're two different sides. You see that? After 10 minutes of biking, I finally found my Airbnb, but I had to wait a few minutes for my host to get me, seeing as it was midnight and I was supposed to arrive a few hours earlier. I was fine with waiting, but I'm just glad though that I'm finally here and I can sleep for a while. waiting for the Öresundståg to take me to Copenhagen, and I'm finally leaving Sweden. So right now I have about 30 more minutes, and I have 2 kanelbullar, cinnamon buns, which I've already started eating, of course, since I didn't really have dinner, I didn't have breakfast, I didn't have lunch yesterday. But for right now, I'm just waiting for the Öresundståg to take me out of Sweden. It seems very efficient here. There's a train every 20 minutes going to Copenhagen, and I have a lot of time before I actually need to be there for my Airbnb, so I could stay in Malmö for a few more hours, but I'd much rather wander around Copenhagen. It looks like the train will be pretty crowded, so I need to get into the bike carriage before those 2 cyclists. A little later, some people moved around to make room for my bike by the wall and also gave me a seat, which was good because the train ride was longer than I expected. So the train from Malmö to Copenhagen takes only 36 minutes, and it goes over the Öresund Strait, and the train costs 133 Swedish kronor, or about 13 euros or US dollars. And the cool thing here is that the train is crossing the Öresund Bridge. So this is Europe's 5th largest bridge. It was opened in 2000, and it allows vehicles and trains to cross the 16-kilometer or 10-mile Öresund Strait. The bridge itself is only 8 kilometers or 5 miles. And that's because Denmark's side couldn't allow tall bridges so close to the airport. So close to the middle of the strait, the bridge goes under an artificial island called Pebberholm, which turns the bridge into an underwater tunnel on its way to Denmark. This island and the tunnel are both about 4 kilometers or 2.5 miles long. And this is also the first time in 7,000 years that Denmark and Sweden are connected after the end of the Ice Age. Water levels submerged the land connection. When trying to find the train to take me to Denmark before, I was sad when I found out that you can't bike on the bridge. It's only for vehicles and trains, but the train ride over was still very cool. Anyway, if you could bike, I'd probably get too scared and chicken out. And just like that, I was in another country. So this wasn't my first time in Copenhagen, so I didn't feel bad that all I wanted to do was sleep. However, my Airbnb check-in was at 5:30 and I arrived in the city at 1 p.m. So I had to force myself to ride around the city after eating a pølse, a must in Denmark. So if you're in Denmark, you have to eat a pølse. It was nice though, since I never actually explored the city outside the center, but with my increasing tiredness, I took a lot of long breaks to rest. But finally, I got into my Airbnb and promptly fell asleep. So I'm here for 2 nights, and the only reason for that is to attend a Lucas Graham concert tomorrow. The last time I saw them was in New York City a few months before lockdown, and when I saw that they would be touring again, I got too excited and bought a ticket for Copenhagen while I was still living in New York City with no real or even imagined travel plans. I just bought the ticket. So it's about 1 a.m. I just got back from the Lucas Graham concert. So now I'm just back home eating leftover fries and tartar sauce. The cool thing about Denmark is that, so the concert was in the pier. At the end of it, most people just walked or biked back to the city. So I ended up going with them. And it's everyone was just biking around the city or walking. And it was a 40-minute walk just to the closest metro station stop, and then about 20 minutes on the metro to get to my Airbnb. It wasn't completely worth it because it's expensive to be in Denmark or in Copenhagen for even just 2 nights. But I'm really glad that I actually went to the concert. I love all of their songs. And yeah, it makes me happy.